If things had gone a little bit differently, I would have a 13-year-old daughter today. But who knows what have resulted if I did have a 13-year-old daughter. Would I have my 10-year-old son and my 6-year-old other daughter? It's hard to say. Nobody can tell what each road would bring because you can only take one road in life. But my daughter taught me a lot about the miracle of life and the tragedy of death all in the same day. And I'm making this video because I think that grief is very individual. We all grieve differently, but I still think it's largely misunderstood or not explored fully. My grief still sticks with me to this day, 13 years later, from this one incident, and I don't think it will ever be gone. It's definitely evolved. It's not as strong as it was, and it's not always there. Some days it just is, and most days I don't even think about it. One other thing that I learned from this incident, and it was the day that we received her remains, is that I was in total shock still and had to drive. There's a lot of things you still have to continue on with life with. And so I was getting on the freeway and just in a daze and not even paying attention to my speed. And somebody behind me noticed how slow I was going on the on-ramp and honked and totally went around me aggressively. And I was like, oh, I'm not getting up to speed. And I also had this thought, what an asshole. But in their world, they just saw somebody going slow to get on the freeway. And in my world, I was like, don't you understand that I'm grieving and I'm having a hard time right now? Neither of us understood the other person's story at that time. And so my lesson in that was, well, one, you never know what's going on with somebody else. And two, the world continues no matter what. The planet continues to rotate and continues to go around the sun. People are born, people live, people die. And though we need to live into the tragedies of our lives and grieve, there comes a point where you need to continue on. And it's immediate in a lot of ways. But in the longer term, you just got to move on. And you have to take the lessons, and you have to be better and stronger and never give up, no matter what. And so I'm just kind of rambling a little bit, but I've still learned a lot from that. I continue to learn a lot. We keep the memory of her in our hearts all the time. My children know about her. They shared the same womb. You know, my wife birthed 3 children, and they all came from the same womb. And I think there's a lot in that. I think they all feel each other. And, you know, I have a friend who had twins, and one of the twins died before they were a year old. And can you imagine? I mean, that boy knows about his brother on a level that I have no idea. I couldn't understand. But I think little kiddos especially have less of this less of these impressions of this world, this material world that we live in, this real world of matter. And so they're more connected to the energetic world, to the spirit world. And so they understand things on these deeper levels. So anyway, my kids hold her in their hearts as well, and they actually will talk about her and ask about her and imagine what life would be if she was around. And it's just really crazy, you know? 13 years. Just seeing how much changes in 13 years, like being in my 40s now, and the amount of life that I've lived, and to have seen the birth of 3 beings, and, you know, lost friends, lost loved ones, but still meeting amazing people and making new friends and new loved ones. It's a pretty incredible life. It's so dynamic. There's so much to it. And I think it's really important to embrace all aspects of it. You know, we're all going to die someday. And I think that we can live life the most gracefully and the most grateful by understanding that that day will arrive, and to not fear it, and to best prepare for it. And I suppose also to, you know, just be so connected with our loved ones and with our people, and somehow create a knowing in each other's hearts that when that day comes, grief is important, but also the celebration of life, the celebration of everyone's life and the loved one's life who passed, and to keep them alive in our spirits, and to use death as a teacher for us to really appreciate every single day. It's springtime right now in the Northwest, and you can hear all these birds chirping. I've done a couple of videos of just me standing out here with the frogs croaking and the birds chirping. And all this greenery in the background is starting to come up. I'm getting my veggie boxes going. And there's always a renewal. Life always returns. It's a cycle. And it's a beautiful thing. And I think that's one of the gifts that we are given. And the gift is that this is fleeting. Nothing is permanent. And so if you love it, you should love it fully. And we should love this life fully. And we should show gratitude for it every single day. All right. I love you guys. Let's keep embracing all of the ins and outs and ups and downs of this miraculous life.